What's in it for me? If enlightenment or grace will honor me and I will be self-realized and I'll know everything, what will happen to me? This is something that sometimes people ask me. Why? What's in it for me? What would I gain when I'm enlightened? And when I describe the natural state, they frequently say, well, it's kind of like the same thing. Why should I bother? So this is the misconception of what enlightened state really is compared to what the character thinks enlightenment is or self-realization is. And this tension between this total ignorance of what it is, the description, the lame description that Simcha or other people try to explain about the state, this tension doesn't allow the character to truly understand what it really is. And the question, what will I gain, is so irrelevant, but the character doesn't know it because he's still trapped in the identification. So this is the only question he can ask. What will the character gain from being self-realized? And this is the whole thing. The character believes that it is a character and that enlightenment will happen to it, and some things will happen to the character because it was enlightened. When trying to explain to the character that enlightenment means that no one will gain anything, the character is usually not so pleased with this answer because it's not used to the way of thinking of not wanting something to itself or not gaining something. And if there is a change, it has to happen to the character, otherwise it's not a change. They cannot grasp that this is the total transformation of everythingness and nothingness. And so the question remains, and no matter what Simcha or traditions claim to say about this state, the character will not be pleased because nothing happened or happens to the character when enlightenment occurs. Of course, it doesn't occur. If there is a character in the story, and this is the narrative we all know, humanity knows, there is someone, one bright day, just like Simcha is telling her story, one bright day or afternoon, she was struck by this immense grace and was redeemed. And this thing happened to Simcha. And how do I know that? Because here she is talking to me and telling me about it. So of course she's a character and it happened to her. And so there is no way around it. I cannot explain things as Simcha and claim that I'm not Simcha at the same time, and you will understand what I'm saying. But this is the paradox, this is the thing that cannot be perceived usually, that enlightenment doesn't happen. This is the one thing. The second thing, it doesn't happen to someone. And nothing really happens because it was always this state. And these are three things that are very hard to comprehend because in the story it looks like the character went through a total transformation and realized its true nature and then became this thing and then she's talking about it. While in reality it didn't happen and the character is not speaking and everything is part of the illusion. But if we'll take the part of the illusion and the story, what does the character gains from enlightenment? So we can express the benefits of self-realization and enlightenment in the character's life, knowing and emphasizing that these are like cosmetic things or just the thing that is above everything and it doesn't penetrate the it doesn't pass through the epidermis. It's skin deep. It's nothing. This is like ripples. It's nothing. But for the separate forms, this is everything, because, wow, it happened to a character and then she lives in a different way, and the whole story is just fascinating. It's a fascinating story, but it is a story. But let's go along with the story about a character which is realizing its true nature and what are the benefits, what's in it for her. So for Simcha, the main and first benefit was the total liberation from suffering. Yay! All the psychological suffering of the character just vanished in a split second, and she cannot suffer again. Wow. The character cannot suffer. This is the story about Simcha, who used to be a very anxious woman. She had anxiety, she was a hypochondriac, and she took everything very personally. She used to cry a lot. She was very sensitive to the pain of others. And when something like October 7th happened in Israel this year, if it would happen to the character Simcha without the knowing, it would be, just very hard for her to go through and to continue living, because she took everything so deeply inside. So she was released from the character, and so the character does not suffer. Isn't it a great thing? This is the greatest thing, the present for the character, just like an award. This is your prize, the prize of the character, because no one gives prizes to anyone. And the second thing for the character is the knowing that nothing really matters in her life, that everything was pre-planned by her, and that everything is going according to plan. And this is an automatic movement that needs no effort. So you don't suffer and you go through life effortlessly, without any kind of effort. And this is the part that confuses people, because when they see me, my family, for example, or friends, or clients, everyone sees me as a busy woman. She is working, she's lifting things, or editing things, or cooking, or doing. She's very active, and she gets tired, and it doesn't look like it's effortless. This is effortless. She's doing the same thing. And so they cannot grasp what does it mean to be in an effortless, to be a thing and look like you are very, very doing an extreme kind of effort. Because in the story, it appears to be an effort. So to the characters that look at Simcha, to my family, they say, okay, it's the same. You do the same things. You are making an effort. We can see that on you. How can you say that it is effortless? After 6 years of this thing and the understanding that no matter what I say, no one will understand, I can pretty much say the thing itself, and it will not shock anyone, because I insist that this thing is effortless, even if you'll see me making the effort. Even if you see me right now talking, I will insist that you don't see me and I don't talk. This is the state, and it's so much fun just to express it freely, because for 3 years I spent a lot of time after the shift with my family, because everything was still needing my attention. The children were smaller and everything was. And now I started to express this truth, and slowly but surely I will express it in the most free way I can. I will not spare anyone's prejudice and thoughts. I'll just say it because it doesn't really matter for you or for her. So, to the question, what's in it for me? People who are close to me and see me struggle, they can say, and they do, aren't you supposed to be enlightened? Aren't you supposed to be somewhere else, on a beach, or just sitting, I don't know, quietly? You act and do the same things, so nothing has changed. So why would I strive to be in your state or realize that this is the natural state, this is better for humanity? If it's the same, why bother? It's the same. Your life didn't change. You are not very rich, and nothing extraordinary happened to you, and you're still doing the same things. You gained nothing. And this is such a narrow way of looking at what really is happening. The thing itself, in the natural state or nothingness, cares not if it's on a lovely mountain sitting quietly and watching the sun set, or if it is just like I did, cleaning the windows. It doesn't care. It's all the same. Simcha tries to explain that because the character Simcha was inside some kind of a story in the film, it's only natural for her to continue in the story. If she would be in a bad movie, she would change the movie. But she was in a nice movie, and she wants to see everything in the movie just moves to the right direction and to see how it develops. And this is what happens. So the character doesn't need to make any kind of grand changes. She doesn't need to gain anything because she is this thing. This thing doesn't want anything. And so the question is so paradoxical. What will I gain? I don't want anything. I don't need anything. What can I gain? I already have everything. When you know that, you can only laugh at the character that asks you this question. Because the state of all nothingness is so unknown, because no one, it's very rare for people to be in that state, there are many speculations and interpretations to the scriptures, to what people say. So people tend to find their own meaning to what this is. So there is the opposite kind of what will I gain from it, from people who thinks that enlightenment is something, I don't know, to call it supernatural will be correct because it's above and it's not the natural way this world, you believe that how it is created. So it is a supernatural, but it is not like something unrelated to this reality. They cannot grasp that this reality is sacred and holy, and this is it, and this is how it looks like, and this is the thing. They cannot. So they invent what is enlightenment. They invent for themselves that they will gain some kind of, I don't know, another dimension. Of course it is another dimension. This is not a dimension where we are. We are not in dimension. There are no dimensions in the absolute truth. But they think that it will take them to another kind of dimension. It's like legends and myths and old wives' tales. You don't know. You read a paragraph and in a book, and someone tells you about this emptiness and this quietness, and you interpret it as something other. These people, the ones who is saying, what's in it for me? Oh, I will become this eternity, and it will be something that is not related to this boring, mundane reality. It will be something else, and I'll see things. And maybe people think also about supernatural abilities, that they will be able to move the mountains, or to make it rain, or to teleport themselves, or to read minds. And all of this is just not what this thing is, because it is restricted to the character as long as it is in the identification, in this form of the character. So these things are not needed for this or nothingness to express itself in the story. They are not needed, so they will not happen. If they will be needed, they will happen. In the story, there are no limits. Everything is possible for this or nothingness to do, but it has to be derived from the story. It has to come from the story. It has to be connected to the story of the character. So all these myths and legends and this pursuit of supernatural something that is not related to this reality is what people think that they will gain through enlightenment. Or this indifference, not indifference, because this thing is indifferent to suffering. It's not suffering, so it doesn't feel, it doesn't have any emotions. So this is also something that is misunderstood. It's not that there are no feelings, there are no someone's feelings. The thing itself is everything inside it. There is all the expressions of all the feelings possible. They are expressing themselves. No one is expressing them. And so it is a highly, highly deep, connected state to this illusion. And this illusion is this thing. So what will people, someone will gain from being realized? The first thing is the biggest mystery of them all. What is this thing? What? Where did I came from? Where am I going? What is this? Where is God? This big mystery of what, who we are, is solved. And isn't it amazing to know, to finally know, okay, I didn't know that. I thought I was something else. Wow. And then to know what you are, this is the thing. This is it. This is great joy, an endless joy of being what we are. Finally, I don't know, you can connect it to your life when you sometimes you felt at home, or you felt, okay, this suits me, this is me. Finally, this is the thing that belongs to me. When you found something in your life, it's like that, but you can multiply it by endless numbers, and then reach it's not a satisfaction, it's not a human emotion, it's just pure bliss, because there is return to the thing itself, which is and has always been what you are. No one will gain anything, nothing to be gained. It will still look like this surrounding. Your mother will still be your mother. Your enemy will still be your enemy in the story, just like Simcha's enemies, who are determined to exterminate her and her people. They are still in the story. And this is the story. She realizes now what they are, what she is, what is this thing that is expressing. It's a childlike thinking that I will gain something out of it. I will gain pure bliss. I will gain knowing about who I am. I will gain, and I will be something else. Something will happen to me. Enlightenment doesn't happen to anyone. There was no one in the first place. So enlightenment wants nothing, gains nothing, everything stays the same. The circumstances are the same, the persons are the same. It's all, again, depends on what you do and you don't do. And you do have to make an effort in your life to do the things. Sometimes it's hard, but you never suffer. There is no one to suffer. And this thing celebrates itself with every pretend breath the expression of the character takes. Is it worth it? Hell yeah.